Hi everyone, David Aragona here, taking a look at the feature race at Oaklawn Park on Saturday. It's the ninth race on their 10-race card, the inaugural running of the Tinsel Stakes. Oaklawn definitely trying to get us in the holiday spirit, some of these new stakes names that they're going with. This one is for 4-year-olds and up, going 1.125 miles on their main track there, and a really interesting field of 7 horses signed on. Let's throw up the field for this race, and a very intriguing runner that's participating here is the number 2, Lone Rock, because, as I said, this race is carded going 1.125 miles, and Lone Rock is a real marathon specialist, competing mostly in races going 1.5 miles and beyond this year. So he's going to be cutting back in distance to this conventional route distance of 9 furlongs. We'll see how he handles it. He is listed as the morning line favorite, but a really competitive field. You can make a case for a lot of his rivals in this race. The number 7 Warriors Charge, a horse who has some pretty high-profile graded stakes placings from the past, looking to get back on track here. He's the second choice at 5-2. Some others who definitely have plenty of back class also could take money in this race, but one that's going to be pretty interesting to see how it develops from a tactical standpoint. And Lone Rock's stablemate, the number 6 Thomas Shelby, has plenty of early speed. Let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector, and no surprise to see that number 6 Thomas Shelby is shown on the front end, actually a clear lead over the number 7 Warriors Charge. They both showed speed in a recent race at Keeneland, shaking out that same way on the front end with Thomas Shelby leading Warriors Charge. So a similar thing figures to happen here. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with Lone Rock. He's had tactical speed in his recent marathon races, but how close to the pace will he be able to stay going a faster pace in this 1.125 miles affair? That's a real question for him, as well as how he handles this turn back in distance. Let's take a look at Lone Rock's last race when he won the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance at Del Mar. This was on Breeders' Cup weekend, and there's Lone Rock in those pink silks coming off the far turn, taking over from his main rival, Tiz Magician. And he's got that massive stride that seems so well suited to those marathon races as he just powers away from this field through the stretch. This is a familiar sight this year. He's won a lot of these races going these 1.5 to 1.75 mile distances, but it did seem like he really improved once they stretched him out to these marathon trips in Robertino Diodoro's care this year. So how is he going to handle the turn back in distance? Well, he did run a good race going all the way back to February of 2021, going the same, or this, I should say, 1 mile and the 16th distance, first off the claim for Robertino Diodoro, actually winning in the slop that day, an optional claiming race. So we'll see. That race probably not quite good enough to get the job done here, because he subsequently improved his Timeform US speed figures, consistently hitting that 114 to 118 range in those marathon races. Numbers like that probably good enough to get the job done here, but if he regresses at all, I don't think he has that much margin for error in this race, and he's going to be a pretty short price, I would imagine, going out for that powerful stable. So a little bit skeptical of Lone Rock here. I respect his overall talent, just don't want to pick him on top as the favorite. The number 7 Warriors Charge, who, as I said, listed at the 5-2 morning line second choice in this race, coming off a good effort last time when he was second to Thomas Shelby, getting a 118 Timeform US speed figure at Keeneland, really taking a step back in the right direction after some inconsistent, disappointing performances throughout the middle of the year. He had some slow breaks, lost a lot of the early speed that he once possessed, so it was good to see him get back on track last time. And let's take a look at the stretch run of that race at Keeneland when he just barely failed to get past Thomas Shelby in the final quarter mile. That's Thomas Shelby hugging the rail coming off the far turn in those white blinkers, whereas Warriors Charge in those purple 10-strike racing silks coming at him from the outside. A little bit surprising not to see Warriors Charge right on top of Thomas Shelby earlier in this race, because in the past, Warriors Charge had been more of a need the lead type, but just doesn't seem like he has that early zip that he once possessed. So he was closing at the end of that race, couldn't quite get to Thomas Shelby. I think Warriors Charge a contender in this race, but I'm a little bit bothered that Thomas Shelby is back in here, because it just seems like Thomas Shelby had his number that day and is a little bit quicker than him in the early going. So I expect Thomas Shelby to outfoot Warriors Charge to the front end once again. And as you can see, Thomas Shelby got a career best 122 Timeform US speed figure when he beat Warriors Charge. Now 2 back for him. Thomas Shelby did come back last time out at Churchill Downs against a much weaker starter allowance field, and his speed figure regressed considerably to 107, though I don't know how much stock to put in that. I guess you could say maybe he was supposed to win that race by 10 lengths if you wanted to see him get another 120 plus Timeform US speed figure, but I thought he ran well within the context of that race. It's not like he got some free ride on the front end. David Cohen really put the pedal to the metal on on the backstretch opening up on that field. You could see the pace really quickened in that second quarter mile, that pace figure increasing to a 121 last time. So he did some hard work on the front end before getting a little bit tired late, but he was beating vastly inferior competition last time. So he's stepping back up in class here. One reason, though, to like Thomas Shelby is this DRF formulator fact for his trainer, Robertino Diodoro. And I should mention, this stat actually applies to both Lone Rock and Thomas Shelby, but I'm highlighting Thomas Shelby because I think he fits this stat a little bit better. 4-year-olds and up that won their last start at Oaklawn in dirt routes, 14 for 59, winning almost a quarter of those races with a really healthy $4.12 ROI. Like I said, Lone Rock not going to be a high ROI horse, likely to go off as the favorite in this race, but Thomas Shelby listed at 8-1 on the morning line. We'll see how high he actually goes off, but I think he's a dangerous gate-to-wire threat in this race, and I would want to definitely respect him if he's going to be that kind of price based on this DRF formulator fact. Another horse that could take a little bit of money that's coming off a victory is the number 3, Beau Luminaria. Let's take a look at his victory 2 back when he won at Keeneland in a blanket finish, just getting up by a head. He's covered in dirt coming off the far turn here. You could see this is a race where the entire field is strung across the track coming to the wire. Really desperate finish, and he just barely gets his head down on the wire first. Something that Beau Luminaria has kind of struggled to do throughout his career. He often settles for minor awards, or that was the reputation that he had coming into his last couple of races, but he got the job done 2 back, and then he came right back and won again at Churchill last time. And if you watch the replay of that last race, he had some adversity to overcome. He got bumped really hard in upper stretch, had to alter course, go back to the inside, and got up to win that day. He did handle a sloppy track on that occasion, something that he's done before, and there is rain in the forecast for this weekend at Oaklawn, so maybe that'll help him, though he's got some lower time formula speed figures coming in. Those numbers like 110 and 111, they're just not quite going to cut it against this field, so I do think that Beau Luminaria is going to have to step up and put forth a career best performance to get involved here, and I'm just not sure that he's going to get the right pace setup to close into as a one-run closer. A horse that I am a little bit more interested in is the number 4, Title Ready. This is a horse that's a little bit tough to figure out. We haven't seen that much of him in recent times. He actually just made 1 start since competing in the Dubai World Cup all the way back in March, and that was when he made his return last month at Churchill Downs on November 13th, going a 1-turn mile. 1-turn mile probably on the short side for Title Ready. You can also see, looking at these time formulas PPs, those blue color-coded pace figures for the early fractions of that 1-mile race, indicating they were really not moving that quickly on the front end. And I just thought that was a real perfect prep for Title Ready. Brian Hernandez rode him pretty conservatively early, just sat behind the leaders, just left him with a little bit too much to do in the stretch. I don't want to be too hard on him for not closing. The winner, South Bend, did come from last to first to win, but he got a vintage ride from Joel Rosario to do so. Title Ready kind of stuck in behind horses, never in the clear until the very late stages of that race. And I thought finished up pretty gamely to lose that race by less than a length to a good horse like South Bend. Going a little bit further back in Title Ready's PPs, he's got some good efforts on his card when he won that Louisiana Stakes at the start of the year, all the way back in January. And even at the end of 2020, when he was a really good closing third in the Fayette Stakes, a race that did not feature much pace, where he made a really nice closing run. I think those performances give him a shot to be competitive in this Tinsel Stakes. And we saw Dallas Stewart come in last week and sweep up the Poinsettia Stakes with his runner Last Samurai at a decent price. And I think he could do something similar here with the number 4, Title Ready, who will be my top pick in this race. Let's throw out my picks here. And Title Ready, he's the one that I'm going with. He's 9-2 on the morning line. I think that's a fair price in him. I expect Lone Rock to take some money, and I do respect Lone Rock. I've got him second in this race, as well as the other Robertino Diodoro runner, the number 6, Thomas Shelby, right in behind. Both of those Diodoro runners, I think you really do have to afford some respect to them, given the stats and the fact that they're coming in off those strong victories. I just feel like the number 4, Title Ready, flying a little bit under the radar, and he could work out the right trip. So he's the one that I'm going with in the Tinsel Stakes on Saturday at Oaklawn Park. Good luck if you're playing this weekend.